Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Israel Brief, hosted by me, Rolene Marks, and brought to you by Lay of the Land. And we are your non-stop shop for all things Israel, including the daily headlines every Monday to Thursday, which we bring you right here on this platform. So let's get into the top stories, and we begin by saying the United Nations is at it again. And this time it's the United Nations Human Rights Council. Yesterday, the Human Rights Council published an 18-page report based on a commission of inquiry into the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Now, this commission of inquiry was set up in 2021 and is very, very controversial, in that the three commissioners appointed have a steady history of anti-Israel bias. In fact, the one commissioner, Navi Pillay, there have been numerous petitions by many organizations, including UN Watch, to have her removed because of her extreme bias. The report, which did not include any evidence put forward from Israel's side, this submitted by non-governmental organizations like NGO Monitor, as well as UN Watch, negated very, very critical information like incitement and the decades-old terrorism committed against Israeli civilians, and instead blamed Israel outright for perpetuating the conflict with the Palestinians. This report has been condemned by organizations like UN Watch, like NGO Monitor. The US State Department sent an official condemnation. The Israeli Ministry of Foreign Affairs have called it a witch hunt and a waste of money and effort, and said that it does not look at the reasons why Israel has to defend her citizens. And the MFA also said that Israel will continue to protect our citizens. In other news, still staying with the United Nations, but this time some more positive news, Israel's ambassador to the UN, Gilad Erdan, has been appointed a vice president on the United Nations General Assembly. Now, there are numerous vice presidents, but the ambassador did say that this is an important platform for Israel to present our truth and also to contribute and put an end to the lies and truths presented by the Palestinians and their supporters. Now, what this entails is that the ambassador will now participate in the UNGA meetings. He will help set the agenda, and he will also be able to chair certain sessions. And it is believed that this will go a long way to trying to mitigate some of the accusations and disproportionate focus that members of the UNGA have on Israel. Iran and Syria objected to the appointment of Israel's ambassador to the United Nations as a vice president. However, this did not go to a vote. Now, like many of you, I thought we were done dealing with COVID-19, but unfortunately, the data presented today shows rising numbers in infections in Israel. Now, the Prime Minister met with the Health Minister and Health Ministry officials, and it has been recommended, rather, it seems like I've got the cat's got my tongue a bit today. It has been recommended that people gathering indoors start to wear their masks again. However, at the moment, there doesn't seem to be a need to roll out a fifth vaccine. Now, these recommendations about masks were made to the Health Ministry Director by a team of professionals, and these findings and recommendations will be presented to the Health Ministry for final approval. And our last story takes us to the IDF, and it was announced yesterday that the IDF are expanding the roles for women in combat units. However, they did reject a petition that asked for women to be included in certain elite units, saying that women did not meet the physical requirements like height and weight. But it is good news and a big step of progress for women in the IDF that they can now enter certain combat units. So those are our top stories making headlines today. Don't forget to check us out online at www.layoftheland.online. There is a lovely poem up there by Charlotte Cohen taking a look at good versus evil, or in this case Zelensky versus Putin. It is also up on our Facebook page, and I notice our community is growing. So thank you to all our new members. And if you aren't a member of our Facebook community, please look for us at Lottel's site. Click on like or follow and share our content. We are also on YouTube. Our channel can be found at the Israel Brief. And if you could, please hit that big red subscribe button so that we can get Israel's side of the story out to as many people as possible. And of course, we're on Twitter. Our handle is at @LayOfTheLand5. That's at @LayOfTheLand5. In the meantime, thank you for watching. I'm Rolene Marks. This is the Israel Brief, and we'll join you again for those top stories right here from Israel tomorrow.